And the novena helped me to train. It was a training.
Commitment.
A 54 training day, right?
Yeah. And the first evening, remember?
And the first evening when I said, I'm going to do this novena, I had the same scent in my nose. No kidding. In like I had in Medjugorje, the same scent. And I was like...
Vanilla.
Did Angèle just put some vanilla candles? I was in the house smelling every corner.
Trying to see where that's coming from.
Right?
I remember Phil comes up to me and says, Angèle, I told Mother Mary that I'm going to do this Pompei Novena, and today's the first day, and all of a sudden I'm doing my third mystery of the whole Rosary in the evening, and I have this strong smell of vanilla, and I'm like, well, that's Mother Mary. She's telling you, please persevere. This is what she wants from you. She's clearly showing you. Yeah.
And I wish I would smell that every day, but it's not there. It's just those were the two only moments, and I'm not praying the Rosary for the smell, to be clear for you. But it's really a really nice. It was a really nice moment. Those two moments were very nice to me. I cannot describe that feeling that I have when I smelled that. It's so strong.
It was her love.
Yeah.
It was her love.
So that kept me kind of like it gave me a boost to push it through this novena, to say a commitment for 54 days. That's a lot of commitment, right?
Yeah.
And I was calculating the time. I was like, how long does it take? So I was trying to find ways to make it bearable. The German Rosary is a bit different because you repeat the mystery every single Hail Mary. Mm-hmm. In English, you don't do that.
There's different ways, right?
In Latin, you don't do that. So I chose to go for Latin, and I fell in love with the Latin Rosary during that time. So what I tried to do is I start the Rosary with the Creed, the introduction, and then I have only, that's a tip from Gabi After Hour he gave, right? Maybe you can explain that, how to make it through the 3 rosaries.
Right. Well, you start in the morning with the sign of the cross, the Creed, the Our Father, the 3 Hail Marys, the Glory Be, and then you don't have to repeat that at each, after 5 decades, you don't have to repeat that. Because most Catholics are used to praying just the 5 decades, and then they finish up the prayer. But the Creed is prayed in the morning, and then you just do the whole, throughout the day, you add on all the decades, all the mysteries. So if you're doing the joyful, you just, in the morning, and then you, at lunch, say you do the sorrowful, you don't start over again with the Creed and the whole thing again. That's already done. You just continue from there with the next decade, and you just keep adding the decades on. And then finish in the evening with the Hail, Holy Queen. But we usually do it with our kids in the evening anyway, because we're still doing the family rosary with our children. Another thing is the structure of the rosary. Because initially it was a struggle for you, because the family rosary we're following what the church is presenting to us to meditate on for the children's rosary, or the 5 decades. Monday is the joyful mysteries, Tuesday is the sorrowful, Wednesday the glorious, Thursday the luminous, Friday sorrowful, Saturday joyful, and Sunday glorious. That's what we do with our children. So when we start committing to praying our own whole Psalter, it's like, in the beginning you think, how do I do it so that I don't repeat the mystery with the family rosary in the evening, right? Yeah. I would recommend just not worrying about the repetition of the mysteries. If on certain days you pray more about the sorrowful mysteries, that's okay. The most important thing is that you're meditating on the life of Jesus. That's the most important thing. Even if there's a day where you're doing joyful twice, or a day where you're doing luminous twice, right? As long as you're praying from the heart, really with the will not to be distracted, there's always going to be distractions. There's no such thing as perfect prayer without distractions. The key is knowing I don't want to be distracted, and I'm never willfully distracted during prayer. If a distraction comes, I just give it to Mother Mary. I humble myself before her. I say, oh, this is a concern of mine. I give it to you, and I just continue. I turn my distraction into prayer, and I just don't worry too much about it. It's just like...
But that's you. You need to give it a more realistic approach. I think not everybody can pray 4 rosaries a day.
But it should be the goal, and it's not impossible. If I can do it, anybody can. That's what I'm trying to say is, for years I had struggled to try to pray the 4 mysteries. And a lot of people say is, I don't have that. I don't have time. Well, I started waking up earlier in the morning, for example. I do rosaries, so I pray on my way to work, on the way to school, because I drive the children to school. Every opportunity I have, and there's more opportunities in the day than you know. I think if you have the will, when there's the will, there's the way. And
I had other opportunities too. When I go to work, I'm going with the train.
Yeah.
The other day, I just went to Zurich on the train, and I was like, well, everybody's on the phone here. Nobody's talking to me. So I took out my rosary, right, in the train, and then started praying my rosary. I used to be ashamed of this, right?
Yeah.
And I was like figuring out, like, everybody is not talking. They're just on their phone.
They don't even notice.
They don't notice that I'm there. So I might as well pray, you know. It's like, and then that was. There's so many opportunities, right?
And there was this amazing thing written in the Pieta booklet of prayer, where it's written, out of the entire day, if you calculate the minutes, 5 decades of the Rosary is literally 1% of your day. 1%. 15 minutes. It takes about 15 minutes if you're praying the Rosary without mentioning the mysteries after each Hail Mary. If you're doing it, especially in Latin, it tends to be a little bit shorter. It's about 15 minutes to do the 5 decades. And that's 1%. And if you do the whole Rosary, which is then the 15 decades, it's 3 minutes of your entire day. That's nothing. And I'm a busy mom. I have a lot going on. And like I said, if I can do this, anybody can. But it takes also the realization that I cannot pray. Come, Holy Spirit, I cannot pray. You have to pray in me. Because it is a grace. And asking Mother Mary for the grace to be able to pray the Rosary. And she will give you that grace. Yeah, she desires it for us as well.